Edge Designations Revision and Exam Program for the CFA Level 2 program for the 2022 exam cycle. First and foremost, let me introduce myself. My name is Russell Jude. I'm also a CFA charter holder. I head up the program for CFA designations and will be doing the presentation for the CFA Level 2 revision and exam program. I'd like to use this short video for two purposes. Purpose number one is to introduce you, number one, to the CFA exam program. Okay, and we'll look at it first and foremost from the point of view of CFA LII, the CFA Institute, what your exam is likely to look like. Okay, the details of your exam, etc., etc. Second of all, I'd like to introduce you to Edge Designations and to show you what the programs that we have available that can assist you in getting through this particular exam. Let's start off first and foremost and have a look at the exam format. Keep in mind, of course, that there are going to be 3 exam periods for CFA Level 2 in 2022. There's the Feb exam, there's the August exam, and there will be a November exam as well. So you've got 3 separate times to write CFA Level 2 in 2022. Of course, the syllabus will remain the same for all 3 periods. Let's start off and have a look first and foremost at the exam format itself. Okay, for those that have been in the system before, okay, of course everybody by now knows that the exam is completely CBT. CBT is computer-based testing, and based on that, okay, they have reduced the actual timing of the exam. It used to be a 3-hour paper in the past. Okay, the exam now, the actual exam writing time now is, as you can see over here, 2 hours 15. It's 135 minutes. Okay, for exam session 1. Exam session 2 also 135 minutes and 2 hours 15. Okay, so the overall time has gone down, and CFA are quite comfortable that they can still get the same level of testing in of the candidates within the reduced time period that they're making use of. Okay, so you'll start your exam. Your first 30 minutes, okay, is your pledge, tutorial, and survey. Okay, just a bit of a look-see when you get to the exam, how everything works. We're going to show you how it all works beforehand, of course, because it's a little, in my mind, it's a little bit late when you get there to try and see how to do a tutorial on the detail. We'd like you to know a little bit about that beforehand. Of course, CFA do love their survey, so you'll get to do one of those as well. Then you start exam session number 1, and now, of course, being in CFA Level 2, it has changed, of course, from CFA Level 1. Okay, and now you no longer have individual multiple choice questions, okay, like we did in CFA Level 1. CFA Level 2, okay, are what we call vignettes. Okay, vignettes are stories, case studies, okay, and what you're going to get is you're going to get a case study. Could be a page and a half. They are quite lengthy, the particular vignettes, the stories that come before the questions. Okay, and what you're going to get is you're going to get the story, you're going to get the vignette, and that is going to be followed on then by a certain number of multiple choice questions. Now, in the past it used to be 6. They're moving down all the time. I think the eventual aim will be to be completely, each vignette will only be followed by 4 multiple choice questions. But in the meantime, there's still going to be a mixture between those 4 multiple choice questions and 6. But what we do know, okay, what we do know is certain things. Number 1, okay, is that the total number of multiple choice questions, okay, when you look at those, it's going to be A, B's, and C's. Okay, so that's a given. That's something that we know. We also know that in every exam session, be it exam session 1 or be it exam session 2, all the topics are covered. When we talk about all of the topics, okay, of course, those are the 10 topics. We'll discuss those in a second and their various weightings. Okay. What we know further then, okay, is that there's going to be a total of 44 multiple choice questions, okay, per exam. Okay, giving you a total of 180 seconds per multiple choice question. Okay, and you don't get overly excited and think that's a long time, because when you did CFA level 1 you had 90 seconds per multiple choice question. The difference over here, of course, is you've got a long vignette to get through as well, which you first have to read, you first have to process, and then you're going to answer the multiple choice questions based on that vignette. So just really just a little bit of maths over there. We're saying, well, we've got 135 minutes, you've got 44 multiple choice questions, that's your approximate time per multiple choice question. If we try and break it down a little bit further, okay, and we don't know this yet because CFA Institute haven't given complete guidance on this, number one, and number two is we'll never really know from the candidates, because the candidates are not allowed to come out and tell us what they found in their paper. Okay, we'll be covering that, of course, in terms of study session 17, ethical and professional standards, where of course we see that you're not allowed to disclose anything that was on your exam. Okay, so we'll never really get a complete sense, but what they have told us is that there's going to be a much greater weighting towards 4 multiple choice questions, much more so than there are towards 6. So if we had to give a bit of an estimate, likely what the exam is going to be like, my sense would be there'd be 10 multiple choice questions. When I say 10 sections, 10 vignettes, 10 stories, probably 8 of them, okay, because the weighting is going to be given much more in favor of the 4 MCQs, so probably 8 stories, okay, times, let's say, 4 MCQs behind those. It will give you 32 multiple choice questions, and then 2 stories perhaps with, 2 stories then, yes, with 6 MCQs behind those, okay, which gives you 12, making up a total of 44 MCQs in total. And likely again, guys, to repeat again in exam session number 2, which topics will be covered where we don't really know. Okay, unlike CFA level 1, we had a lot more guidance in terms of the functional areas. Okay, we don't have that so much in CFA level 2. You'll write your first exam session 1, take your 30-minute break over there, and go ahead and write exam session 2. My sense is, okay, that it'll look very similar then to exam session 1, a total of 10 stories. Okay, and there we go in terms of the MCQs behind those. And you know, once you see what you've got over there, you'll know exactly the amount of time to spend per vignette. Whether it's got 4 MCQs behind it, you'll spend a little bit less time. If it's 6 MCQs, well, then you could spend a little bit more time. And again, this particular breakdown can change, of course. Okay. You know, as long as, of course, what we do know is that the total will be 44 MCQs. How exactly it's broken down, well, we'll have to wait and see. It doesn't matter overly how they break it down, of course, whether it's 4 MCQs behind or 6, obviously, you will just adjust your specific time that you spend on each question, but it shouldn't overly impact your exam preparation in terms of that. Okay. We move down just a little bit, okay, and I just want to show you on page 2 over here a little bit of the exam weighting that we look at. Okay, and again, what do we notice? Of course, you see that the exam weighting, okay, it works in bands, okay. They've done that now across all 3 levels, that the exam weighting, so we won't know exactly how many questions there's going to be. We just have a bit of a sense in terms of the exam weighting, and you can see what they've done essentially is there's kind of like big weighting topics and smaller weighting topics. So for example, you look at ethics in terms of our 10 topics. Ethics is 10 to 15, it's a slightly bigger one. Okay, financials is a big one as well. Okay, equity fixed income, and Portman. Those are your 5 slightly bigger ones. Okay, and you've got over here your 5 slightly smaller ones, your quants, your economics, corporate finance. I have gone with the older, the more used topic headings. Of course, we know those have changed. They've changed financial reporting analysis from being FRA to financial statement analysis, and corporate finance is now being called corporate issuers. Really a name change. Okay, and you'll see, of course, guys, we'll talk briefly about the changes within the particular sections now. Alternative assets also got a smaller weighting, 5 to 10, and derivatives as well. Okay, and then what that tells us is that in terms of the question breakdown that you're likely to get, okay, likely to be heavier for ethics, financials, equity, fixed income, and Portman, and of course slightly lower than for quants, ecos, corpfin, alternative investments, and derivatives. Okay, in terms of what's changed really since 2021, okay, ethics, carbon copy, same as it was. Quants, more or less the same as it was. Okay, 1 or 2 little changes, nothing too big over there. Economics, same story. Financial reporting analysis used to be called FRA. Okay, it's now called financial statement analysis. Messed us up just a little bit because FRA was such a lovely acronym. I don't know how we can make an acronym from financial statement analysis and make it sound nice. FSA doesn't sound so good. We'll have to make do with that one. But not much change there in terms of the syllabus. Okay, corporate finance got a name change to be called corporate issuers. Okay, a bit of change going on over there in terms of corporate issuers. Okay, so we'll have a look at some of those as we go through those. Okay, equity stayed the same. Fixed income, odds and ends changes, essentially the material the same, but odds and ends changes going through fixed income. Okay, derivatives similar. Okay, alternatives, okay, we lost 1 reading. Okay, we had 2 real estate readings, we lost 1, and they kind of like put them all together into 1 big real estate reading. The rest really stayed the same. Okay, and a little bit of change then in Portman. We had a nice new introductory reading over there. Okay, back testing and simulation, that was introduced. Okay, other than that, not too much. Okay, so the CFA level 2 syllabus, yes, there were changes, of course, going from 21 to 22, but nothing too drastic. Okay, yes, of course, we know the changes, but nothing too drastic that you would say, well, this syllabus is now fairly unrecognizable. Not so. Okay, and those are the exam weightings. Of course, what we will do I'll discuss now as part 2 of this particular presentation in terms of what Edge is going to do in terms of its revision and exam program is we have to make our own estimates when we put together our revision and exam program for you, particularly on the practice exams that we release, on what we believe these exam weightings will do and will look like. And as I go through the revision program, okay, each section, each of the major topic areas of the 10 that we've got over here, I'll do a bit of a breakdown in terms of what we believe perhaps is most likely to be the exam weighting, the number of questions that we believe will come from those particular sections. Okay, now just very briefly, okay, we move to part 2 of this particular class. We've now discussed the CFA Institute exam. Let's talk a little bit about Edge designations and the program. Okay, we've now finished for those that were on the main program. Okay, and in terms of our main program, okay, what we gave the guys over there was a complete set of notes. Okay, in PDF format. Guys like it in that format, it's easier to use. Okay, a complete set of videos. Okay, a complete set of questions as well. QBank. Okay, we also had Zoom sessions, live Zoom sessions for the guys that were involved in the main program as well, and of course a formula sheet as well. can't think of anything else. Okay, but of course the main program is now over. We finished that, particularly for those that have joined us for the Feb exam, those writing Feb. Of course, remember there will be 2 more writings as well, so we'll have a look at some of those. And people are more than with pleasure can join onto the main program again for the later exam writings. Of course, as we know, the syllabus remains the same and open for the whole 2022 exam cycle. Okay, but more this particular video is going more on what the revision and exam program is going to look like. Okay, and what we have is a revision program. When we say it's a 3-day program, it's a bit of a throwback, okay, back to the days when we used to have live classes. Okay, and what we used to do is we used to bring the guys into the live classes on a Friday morning, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was a 3-day intensive revision program. And what we would do as part of that program, okay, is we would go through the entire syllabus again. Of course, remember, our main program does the entire syllabus in terms of now videos and in that nature in anywhere between 60 to 80 hours. Okay, so of course when we do a revision program, okay, we can't do, when I say we go through the entire syllabus again, we go through the major, we show you everything again, but of course we can't go through everything in as much detail again, of course, just due to it being a much time reduced program. So what do we do now in terms of the revision program? We try and mimic that as best we can. Okay, and we try and tell the students, if you are able to try and go through the revision program set of videos, which being a 3-day program, okay, take out a bit of lunch breaks for the guys, a bit of tea breaks, etc. Around about 20 hours of actual video for the 24 hours worth of 3 days. Okay, and we try and encourage the guys to go through those videos, which will take you through the entire syllabus again in as condensed a time period as possible. If you are able to do it over a weekend plus a little bit extra, all the better, because you're going to get it all in one shot as opposed to going over a longer time period. Okay, and that revision program, what do you get as part of the revision program? Okay, you're going to get a complete set of notes. Okay, well, they are a revision pack. Again, all the notes are in PDF format, so you've got full access to those as you would like. And then, of course, what we do is we base our videos based on those notes, and the videos we give to you then in YouTube format. Okay, a nice easy format to use. And then there's a formula sheet attached as well for you. Okay, and that's the revision program. So you've got 20 odd hours of video with associated notes to go through and some examples and a formula sheet as well. That's the full revision. We then move into part number 2, which is the exam program, which we give you 6 exams. When we say 6 exams, it's 6 half exams. It's 3 full exams. Okay, and those exams, okay, are all administered via our intuitive QBank. Okay, and of course, as best we can, we try and mimic the exam experience that you're going to have remember, you are writing, of course, a CBT, a computer-based testing exam via the CFA. So we try and mimic that as best we can. We mark that exam for you. We give you feedback on that exam as well. And it's all done under exam conditions. You've got exactly the same time to do the exam in as you would have in your final paper. So we encourage the guys to do the exams once you are ready to do them. Don't try them as a bit of a learning experience and try and get some more questions done by that. Do it as a complete exam under exam conditions to really see what you are, and what will, the program will come out at the end, of course, as most do these days, and give you complete feedback, tell you where your marks are, tell you within these, we break it down into the 10 major functional areas, okay, and the 10 topics, and it'll come out and tell you your quants is fantastic, your ecos needs a little bit of work, your financial statement analysis, etc., and it'll break it all down for you into much greater detail, so you can come away from these exams hopefully with a week or two still remaining in your exam prep until exam time, and say, we need to do a little bit of work here, a little bit of work there, that section is great, leave that alone, and etc. So that's the EDGE program, okay, that we have available for you. Okay, In terms of if you want any further information, we will conclude the video here just to make sure that I don't take up too much of everybody's hard-earned time, and just to give you a little bit more detail about if you would like to follow up. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, I run the program. My name is Russell. Okay, let me give you my email address if you would like. Don't forget the J. Often if you forget the J, it doesn't come through. So it's russellj@ebs.co.za. And if you wanted our website, it is I don't know if people still give out www.edgedesignations.com, and all of our offers over there in terms of notes, videos, revision program exams are all on that edgedesignations.com. For the CFA program, of course, we also offer FRM and Kaya programs as well. Do take a look over there, edgedesignations.com, and wishing everybody the greatest amount of success in your preparation as well as your final CFA Level 2 exam.